For the last few days, my chat had been telling me to play with the Backfire SMG, and I had been holding off because, I just kind of wanted to wait a little bit until we had all the season modifiers unlocked. But I was definitely ready to dive into it today, and I'll tell you, this might be one of the craziest SMGs in Year 7 Season 1, and it's not even a new SMG. It is the exotic Backfire. And with this build, it literally was shredding through legendary content. Now, this was a 4-man legendary run, and we finished it in about 16 minutes. And the amount of damage I was putting out was pretty crazy to see. But that's not even the crazier part. The crazier part is how tanky I was and how much damage I was still able to put out. I even ran this in Heroic Countdown, and we even ran it in a few other heroic missions, which I'll show you some gameplay in a little bit. But I'll tell you, I just don't know if there is going to be a better weapon to run than the Backfire in Season 1 of Year 7. So let's get into it, and I'll show you guys how I have this set up with all the modifiers you need, so that way you could take advantage of the Backfire SMG. So for the weapon, we are running the Backfire, and the reason why is because this is probably one of the most insane SMGs at the moment with the current modifiers. And a lot of people stay away from this weapon, including myself, because of the way the Backfire works. But with the modifier, you can have 0 bleed back and just shred through enemies, as you guys were seeing. So on this one, I do have it fully optimized. We have 15% SMG damage, 21% crit chance, and 10% damage targets out of cover. Now, the accuracy on this is pretty bad, but the stability isn't. The reload time is 1.67, which isn't bad at all. Now, if we look at the talent, Payment of Kind, dealing damage with the enemy also stacks up 2% critical hit damage up to 100 times. That means you could have up to 200% extra critical hit damage on this build, lasting 10 seconds. On reload, it applies a 10-second bleed to yourself, which deals 0.5% armor damage per stack. But we don't have to worry about this because we're going to have 0 bleed. Now, what I like to use is the ACS. You guys can run any ACS you want if you have the rock and roll. I run this one. It has 0 expertise, shotgun damage, damage to armor, health damage, and then I have preservation, killing enemy repairs 10% of your armor or 5 seconds. If I get a headshot, that's an additional 10%. Now, this isn't made to kill. This is just made to build my stack up. I want to have full stacks with this striker build because that's how I'm going to be putting out max damage. We have 12% weapon handling and 14% reload speed. Now, we are running the Striker Battlegear chest piece, and that's going to give us 15% weapon handling. We also going to get 15% rate of fire. Now, the 4-piece for Striker's Gamble give us weapon hits, increase total weapon damage by 0.65, stacks up to 100 times. Now, 1 stack lost per second between 0 and 50, and 2 stacks lost per second between 50 and 100. We are actually going to be doubling that because we're going to increase it by running the chest piece, and what that does is increases max stacks from 100 to 200. So 3 stacks lost per second for between 100 and 200. But with this build and the ACS, we're able to keep up that stack at full stacks a lot. And that's what really matters with this build. We do have armor on this, Pro, and then critical chance. The reason why you're going to want to have Pro on the pieces is because we want that 100%. Now, some people decide to run the Striker without any Pro, and the reason why is because you can still get about 60% has protection, and you'll just have a little bleed. For the holster, we went with the Striker holster. We have armor and Pro. For our third piece of strikers, we have the knee pads, armor, Pro. The Striker Battlegear gloves, armor, Pro. So you're gonna have Pro on all of the Striker pieces. If you look at the backpack, we have the Memento backpack. We have weapon damage, armor, skill tier, and then we have 12% critical hit damage on here. Now, the reason why this is so good is because, remember, we're going to have the short stack, which is going to give us 5% weapon damage, but 60% bonus armor and 5% skill efficiency. But once we build up that 30 stack, what does that do? 30% weapon damage, 30% skill efficiency, and 3% armor regen. We're going to be healing a lot, sitting at 1.9 million armor. Yes, we are a tank with this build. For the mask, we went with the Hollow Man mask. This is going to give us 10% hazard protection. It is the only piece in the Division 2 that has 10% hazard protection as a 1 piece, and that's why it's good. Whether you guys have this piece or you guys have a regular, personally, I really want a regular Yao gear piece, and I would have armor on here. But instead of the health damage, I would love to stack more crit damage. But the health damage isn't bad. But again, armor, health damage, hazard protection, and then critical hit damage mod is what you want to go on there. For the modifiers, we went with Assault Link. The reason why we went with Assault Link is because your firearms attributes is set to tier 5. For every duration of the ability, you gain 5% weapon damage for every non-red core on this build. And that's where we're going to get a ton of extra weapon damage there. Now, attributes are frozen and bonuses are multiplied by 4. And then the passive modifier values are multiplied by 2. Now, the duration on this is going to last 25 seconds and the cooldown is 60. Now, Safety First allows you to stack 7.5% extra hazard protection on your build for each stamina bar, putting us at an additional 37.5% extra hazard protection on this build. You go over here, you have loaded up, you have 25% of your crit chance value is added to your critical hit damage while at tier 5. So once I proc the active modifier, I will be getting an additional 50% critical hit damage. And then if we go over here, we have best of a kind. While you're at least tier 3 in both firearms and stamina, you gain 2.5% headshot damage for every 100,000 total armor you have. Now, if you do not want to run this because you want to run a little bit more survivability, which I was actually running for some of my gameplay, you guys can go with extra padding, gain 5% protection from elites per blue core. Now, if you look at our stats, we're sitting at 54% crit chance and 84% crit damage. We're going to have 70% headshot damage, 14% health damage, and it'll come over here. We have 1.8 million, almost 1.9 million. But look at our hazard protection, 100%. What that means is no bleed, no blind, no burn, no destroy, no disrupt, no ensnare, no poison, and no shock. Obviously, we are rocking Has Pro machine with this build, and I actually love this because of how the season modifiers really allow you to do this. And what I want to show you real quick is, and this, without using our Assault Link, we're sitting at 284% crit damage. And then when we do use it, we're sitting at 92% crit chance. And that's why this is actually pretty crazy to see how this all works when you have it all working together. And after playing this build for a few hours today, I will have to say this is probably one of the meta builds for this year. I honestly can't see another build that's going to put out this type of DPS with this amount of armor, 1.9 million armor, and just shredding through enemies. It just wasn't even close. Whether it was on Legendary, whether it was on Heroic Missions or Heroic Countdown, I felt it was just too easy. And honestly, the chat couldn't stop asking, yo, Skills, what builds? Even though I just kept telling them it was a Striker Has Pro build. They couldn't believe it. So this is the build right here, full build breakdown. If you guys want to see more gameplay of this, my VOD from this stream is still live over on twitch.tv/nothingbutskills. You guys can even see the 16-minute legendary run with randoms. Pretty insane to see. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. But again, definitely give this build a try. And then let me know if you do and what you guys think. I'll see you in the next one. Hey, Nothing But Skills out.